Okay.
Sorry, yeah, that is recording. Thank you for reminding me. I think they're meant to automatically set up and record, so I'm not sure why that didn't.
Yeah,
okay.
Check.
Now, I am, yeah, so we will save the chats too, Mike. Yeah, would anyone like to start? Merindah, maybe I'll get you to start and just talk about what the LGA are doing in this space. And I was hoping that Leanne was going to be logging on, so from Port Adelaide, but I can't see that she's here at the moment. So,
thanks, Belinda. Look, I don't have a huge amount to say today. I'll just, for those, because a lot of you know me, but for those who I haven't spoken to, I'll give you a quick overview of my role in the project that I'm working on for the LGA. But the time today is so valuable, and that's what I really want to talk about, because what I've learned from working in the last 4 months with councils is that you all have incredible information and knowledge and experience, and part of my role is to get that more shared widely between you. So that's the plan. So I'm the Senior Policy Officer for Disability Inclusion for the LGA. I'm supporting a project with a reference group called Disability Inclusion Practice and Plans. And the purpose of that is to support councils, because they are now legislated to produce a disability access and inclusion plan by the end of October 2020. So I'm doing that in 3 ways. First of all, by providing links and resources and information as councils require it. Second of all, by holding workshops and hopefully more sessions like this so that we can share that information. And then thirdly, by developing a community of practice, which means that within the 12-month period or a little bit longer, the LGA should be able to step away, and then councils have this wonderful, strong network that they continue to work together and share, as they're already doing. And some of them are doing well, and others are very new to the process. So it's helping those people new to the process to, come along the journey over the next 4 years of DAPE implementation for the first plan. For COVID-19, the LGA just produced an accessible resources list and sent that out in the early days of the pandemic. So I know some councils put that on their Facebook page and shared that, which was great. But our role is not to take over from other consultants or, workshop presenters, but to invite them in, and councils are using consultants as well. So it's really an assistance role, plus a little bit of advocacy. So we do write a letter to the Minister asking for extension for dates because of COVID-19, and we work quite closely with the Department of Human Services so that we're getting all the needs of different councils met. Yeah, so that's all I really wanted to say. I'm happy to take questions at the end, but yeah, today's really all about, that sharing and learning from each other and talking about our COVID-19 experiences, which have been very difficult, and love to hear where you all are. The NDIA was supposed to dial in. I'm not sure, but we're recording this. What they've asked us to do is to particularly share any issues we've found or any gaps, because that would be helpful information. So if you're okay sharing that, that would be great. And what I really want to hear from you today is your strengths. So what do you feel you did really well? I'd love to hear that and for you to share that, because that's really helpful for other councils to know the kinds of things that can be done. Yeah. Thanks, Belinda.
Thank you. And actually, Merindah, do you want to just mention about the LinkedIn page?
Yes. So to support the community of practice, we've set up a LinkedIn closed group, which you can join, and there is a latest news story going out on Monday, and that will have all the links and details in it to be able to join that group to share all information and resources about disability inclusion, and those resources will also be on the LGA members page, and I can send that link out as well. So yeah, thanks, Belinda, good reminder.
Mike, would you like to, I'll unmute you, Mike. Wait be a sec. Yep.
Thanks, Belinda. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, good. Just to follow on from what we were just saying, maybe a little bit of context, because I don't know the background of a number of the others of us in this meeting. But my role as Inclusion Project Officer with City of Salisbury, which sits in the space that Merinda's just talked about, development of disability access and inclusion plans and implementation. And I just think that, you know, different councils have different levels of relationship with people with disability, and those of us who have worked on access and inclusion planning engage with people with disability in probably 3 ways. And I thought I might just talk about what we've been doing or not doing in those 3 areas. The first one I work in is access and inclusion planning, development, implementation and engagement with people with disability, carers, families and allies. And fortunately for us, our access and inclusion plan was consulted during 2018, 2019, and the you know, we would face, as many councils are, quite a challenge developing a plan and effectively engaging with our community during the COVID-19 restrictions, because a lot of people with disability, especially older people living with disability, don't have internet access, or if they do, they don't necessarily have the recent software and adequate connection even that can run things like Zoom meeting, Teams. So we were fortunate in that way. So our connection with the community at that level is very much about what are their priorities, about things that we as council can do to make them able to participate in the things that we do. You know, and when I say that, you know, it's basic infrastructure provision that we provide for supposedly for the whole community, but if you use a wheelchair and you go around many of the council footpaths in this state, you find out we don't provide for everybody. And the same with our built form as well as our public realm. And also in many of our programs and services, you know, we assume that people have a certain level of cognitive ability before they can actually get in. We never say it, but we don't have the resources necessarily, because no one else helps us with that, other levels of government, to enable participation, say, in a Tai Chi class by someone with intellectual disability. And it's been a tendency in the past, I'll move now into the second group, to have, for a few councils only, and we are one of them, disability-specific programs, which, with the National Disability Insurance Scheme, should, and I believe within 5 years will be a thing of the past. And these were sort of little side rooms that people were shunted into because we, all levels of government, couldn't manage to include people with disability, some people with disability, in our programs and services. So special ones were created, and you've got into those because you had a particular type level of impairment. And in that area, we've got about, I always forget the numbers, 50, 60 people in programs which used to be funded by Disability SA. Now those programs still exist in much the same form, but funded by people's NDIS plans. And many of us are pretty dissatisfied with that. We think it's really shortchanging those people, but their expectations and that of their families in particular have been set by the past system of, you know, rationing of resources. So a lot of people couldn't get disability support. There just wasn't enough money in the old state system. And what they got was very limited, segregated programs. And they're used to that and to some degree comfortable with that and have little idea that could be a much better life for them beyond that. In that respect, we're working with an organisation called Julie Flower Association Purple Orange, who's got a statewide program to develop peer support networks. So still gets people to have those friendship and support groups, but much more outward-looking focus to assist them to actually get into day-to-day activities in the wider community and to start with their families and allies to problem solve why it is they have such difficulty doing that Tai Chi class at a community centre, or participating in some of the programs at libraries or interacting with council. So I guess it's a bit related to that first part I was talking about, you know, access and inclusion and people with disability, saying to council what we can do better to be more accessible for everybody. But it's also focusing on a fairly small percentage of people with disability who have in the past been excluded from day-to-day programs. I guess quickly, the final third one is there are many people with disability who don't need and haven't accessed specialist programs, but who for various reasons, and perhaps to some degree through home and community care or under 65 people with disability, have had a bit of support from the council, who have had a pretty uncertain time in this transition because many of them are not eligible for NDIS. And you know, while with some people in CHSP, the community, Commonwealth home support package and so on program have been getting support. It's essential. Many people, I suspect, have really struggled to get what they need. Yeah. And we've been trying just by phoning everybody. I'm sure that's what other councils and similar programs have done. Maintain phone contact, or by whatever means we can, to assist them to do it. And little things like our mainstream response, like our library, not only had click and collect during the shutdown period, but also home delivery for people who might not be eligible for the home library service. So, thank you. I didn't mean to go on quite as long as that.
No. Thank you, Mike. Look, you made a good point, actually. I might just get everybody to introduce themselves for Mike's sake, who's actually online. So, Anne, if I might start with you.
I'm very familiar with Mike anyway, so we're on quite a few groups together. So lovely to see you, Mike. And some of the other people that are here, I'm getting to know you quite well too. But my role is the Community Services Manager at Whyalla City Council.
Okay, Merinda's introduced herself. Natasha, did you want to? Oops. Yep.
Sure. I'm a part of the LGA training team. My partner in crime, Liz, is here as well. We've been tasked with creating a training program that ties in with the linkages project that Merinda's doing. So I'm here today to have a listen and see if there's something we can take from today and create some information to give to council staff.
Yep, and I'll just tag on to that because, yeah, we're basically here just to broaden our understanding of your sector and we're learning lots. So thanks for having us here. I'm Liz and I work at Education and Training.
Thanks, Liz. Lorinda, I'll unmute you.
Thank you. So I'm Lorinda Bayley at Light Regional Council. I'm a Community Development Officer, so I wear many hats, of which disability is only a small component, and I don't think it gets enough of a commitment. So I am taking the opportunity, because we will have to review our regional plan and our council specific plan that was endorsed in 2018. I'm taking the opportunity to sort of build more of a foundation in our council, if I can put that politely.
No, that's excellent. Leanne, thank you. I just got your message. I got your email. Hang on, I'll just unmute you. Yep, there you go.
Yep, sorry about that. I had some trouble logging in today and a few phone calls that delayed me. I'm Leanne Davis-King. I'm the Community Services Leader at City Port Adelaide Enfield. I also chair the Local Government Access and Inclusion Network and the DIP program at the moment.
Excellent, thanks, Leanne. We might come back to you a bit later as well. Paquita. Sorry, I've just got a message. Paquita doesn't have access to a microphone, and she works with City of, is it Onkaparinga, as a disability coordinator, COO, and we have Jeanette Andrews, who is, where are we? The disability coordinator at City of Onkaparinga. COO, I think that's Onkaparinga. So we've got Paquita and Jeanette from Onkaparinga. Hi there. Excellent. So that was coming through on the chat. And is there a phone? Someone's on the phone? Was that, hello?
Yeah, it's Jodie Holback from the City of Onkaparinga. I couldn't get past the capture on the registration.
Oh, okay.
So-
Liz, I'll feed that back to education training. So the capture, and so, sorry, what was your name?
Jodie Holdback. There's
Yeah.
I'm blind, so there's no audio option.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. So can you hear us okay?
No. There was no audio option on the capture. So yeah, I can hear everyone.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, I'll provide some feedback to that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
This is part of why we do these meetings and we find out what's working well and what's not. So that's
Yeah.
thanks, Jodie. It's Merindah here.
No
Hi.
problem. Yeah, hi, how you going?
Okay.
And hey, Mike.
He's acknowledged. So perhaps Leanne, I just, for those that joined a bit later, I just gave a bit of a background to the functional support group and the role that plays here in an emergency. And they're just the opportunity for these information sharing sessions to, you know, just be able to allow councils to talk to one another about what they're doing, particularly around the COVID situation and what changes or modifications and things that have had to happen or what work's being done. So just to give that background. So Leanne, if you want to talk about some of the stuff that perhaps Port Adelaide's doing, and just for everybody's sake, Leanne did email me this morning with a question regarding provision of food and drinks at some of the social support programs that may be recommencing. I have got an answer to that. So, well, essentially, people can bring their own drink bottles and their own food if they wanted to. So I'm not sure what situation you have. I think what the direction talks about is around communal and sharing of food. So if you were to get something catered, it's around having that individualityness of it and not being a shared plate of sandwiches that people can take. So
if we prepared food and put it on individual plates,
Mhm.
had one person doing it, following food safe handling, just had an individual plate per person, that would be okay?
I believe so. I'll clarify. I wasn't, without knowing what exactly you did, I wasn't sure. But I believe, because that would be like a catering situation. So, but as long as they're not sharing the food, you know, so it would be no different to you going to a cafe and ordering a food, you know, from the chef. So yeah, as long as you're complying with food hygiene, you know, food safety. I believe that would be right if they were individually plated, and then obviously the appropriate cleaning regimes and, you know, sanitising of equipment and all that type of thing.
So what about, sorry Belinda, tea and coffee? Does it just have to be bottled water?
Yes, I mean, it's what the new direction's a little bit silent, and we are trying to, the one that came out yesterday around this sort of stuff, it talks to having, you know, if you're in a cafe and you're within the same group booking, for example, that you could share a bottle of water, but you can't do buffet style self-serve type arrangements. So the coffee and tea could be seen as being a similar type of, you know, it's everybody's going up to the same place.
Yeah.
And that's why. So I would, it talks to the principles now of trying to minimise the spread of the disease, and it's not as prescriptive. So we are trying to get further information because the direction hasn't actually come out. And for those that may not be aware, just to go back again, when a direction comes out from, or, you know, previously the Prime Minister would make an announcement, but then it's actually, the legal process is that the states then have to, through their emergency management structures, declare or enforce those regulations through a direction. So it doesn't become law in South Australia until the direction has been signed by the Commissioner of Police or the Police Commissioner, Grant Stevens. And then once that declaration is signed off, then that becomes the law, and then you then implement it. And that's why there sometimes was a bit of confusion, particularly earlier on, where, you know, South Australia had up to 10 people for a gathering, whereas say interstate had 2 or and that's because South Australia in their direction didn't actually specify 2 people, they specified 10. So there were subtle differences that the states did, and that's why it's really important to go back to the direction that, you know, the Chief Commissioner, the Police Commissioner signs off on through that emergency management structure. So at the moment we have a new one. I've seen it's a draft one. I'm not sure, I don't believe it's come out yet with some of these changes. And the key things around it is the density principle of 1 person per 4 square metres. And they've changed it now. They don't call it social distancing, they're calling it physical distancing of 1.5 metres. And then the other sort of principle is around that, you know, the minimising the spread of disease. So the numbers have increased, as you would have seen on the news, to be up to 20 people. And, you know, in cafes, for example, it's up to 80 people, as long as they're in 20, you know, in separate rooms. So I guess that impacts on some of the community centres and those facilities where you're having gatherings. You know, it's still keeping it to a maximum number overall for a venue, which is 80, but then 20 in discrete sort of spaces, they're calling it. So I've just noticed there's some chat, so I'll
some good comments in the chats.
Pick that up. So Anne said that they've bought individual bottled water for meetings with external people, so which is great. Mike's commented staff could decant coffee and tea into cups and people can pick them up. I'm not sure. And then Paquita said, what if 1 person prepared the hot drinks in personal individual cups? And Mike's also said, what guideline is there for bathroom use? So I'll go through those. I guess I'd have to, I wouldn't feel confident in giving a certain answer, but I could definitely take those questions to and sort of digest those a bit with the directions and speak to the team that are putting those together and just get that clarification. It may be okay if a person is standing there handing them out again as that individual, but I would want to get that clarified. There's been silent on bathrooms, Mike. There hasn't really been anything. One of the suggestions, it was a recommendation that, you know, in those spaces of 20, that they have bathroom facilities, you know, allocated, but, you know, the reality of that is not, you know, you're not going to have 6 different bathroom necessarily facilities. And, you know, we're talking about cafes here and restaurants as well. So it has been silent. I guess the key thing around that is the cleaning and disinfection, you know, extra cleaning processes, you know, more frequent cleaning of those facilities, having signs up, looking at the other thing is around the density requirement is measuring out your spaces and seeing what you're allowed in there. I mean, it says up to 20, but that's subject to the square meterage of your facility as well. So the other thing that may come through is around COVID safe plans. Have you all heard of those being asked about? So anyone that has a defined activity under the direction will need to prepare a COVID safe plan, which identifies, you know, the size of the premise, how many people you're allowed, what you're doing as a business, for example, to, you know, comply with these directions, and you're able to have that produced to an authorised officer should they want to see it. There is some guidance. There'll be an operational guideline coming through for councils, for council activities, and they're being prepared as we speak. So keep an eye out for those. And they, like I said, they'll come through the council command structure or process and should then get filtered through to your councils. And I guess it's pertinent for you guys for any programs or services that you're looking at resuming in your community spaces. So keep an eye out for that. And Mike's just made a joke about don't go into the toilet. So thanks, Mike. Yeah, hold on. I mean, look, you know, it's one of those things with showers, facilities at the sporting clubs, you know, they're, again, all those communal spaces are closed and they're still closed. And it's really just toilet facilities that are open at this point in time. So yeah, there will be updated. All the current operational guidelines are being looked over and are going to be revised. So that's what's happening at the moment on those specific. So is there any other questions that anyone has perhaps about the directions? Mike's just also asked, can we promote and explain the COVID app to meeting event participants? Are you talking about this meeting now, or you're talking about to your participants?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike, the Commonwealth have released some information today about our social support groups and programs going back. It hasn't been formally released, but I've got it sent from the department this morning, and it's in there about encouraging people to sign up to the app. Yeah. But there's obviously the food and drink is the problem with starting back the program. So there's a whole lot of other impacts on us just starting a group back up.
Leanne, do you mind to send me that information that you've received?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I guess the other thing with the functional support group, the intent as well is that for other state government agencies to filter their information through. So I'll be interested to see if it's been sent to people, but not the functional support group. That's all. Because some different agencies are better than others in doing that process. So that would be interesting to see. So you guys are starting to, any other council starting up some of their programs, albeit in modified, or wanting assistance or advice around some of those services?
Belinda, I've just sent you 2 emails. The first, they're both from my funding manager. The first one is the information that was provided. The second one has a list of questions I asked that prevent the programs from starting, just so you can see the feedback from her.
Oh, okay, it hasn't come through. I'll read that out to the group when that comes through then. Yeah, it hasn't come through. Oh, I'll keep an eye on that. So Anne's commented that they've got increased cleaning regime on internal bathrooms and for all public toilets. And the swa.gov.au/coronavirus covers the cleaning of the workplace. Paquita, did you want to talk to that? No. Oh, sorry, she didn't have a microphone.
Yeah, she's not able to. So.
Sorry. And I've just got Leanne's comments. So some of the concerns is about transporting people. They usually transport 10 people at a time in a small bus or 3 in a taxi, which is now impossible with the social distancing. So I'll just make some notes as well. So transport is being an issue. Are most of your councils resumed your community transport? Oh, sorry, who?
Lots of heads are shaking.
Someone's talking. Can I?
But Belinda, most councils haven't started transport back up because of the physical distancing requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
it's a challenge to transport 20 people to a program when you have to send them in 1 taxi per person. It makes the cost of a program, really expensive.
Okay. Transport costs. Okay. And Jeanette has commented that no transport at Onkaparinga either. So another issue is that they normally run out of the community centre, which has other groups. So numbers of people in the centre could be an issue. We are not planning to use this venue as we deem it high risk and can't control who else is in the venue. We have at Port Adelaide, they have a centre at Osborne, which the team has been using as an office. So we'll probably move the programs there when the numbers change from people to rooms. The beverages and food as the main issues. And I guess one thing to also consider is that with some of the requirements, staff aren't included in the numbers. So they are external. So that does allow, a couple of extra if you do have staff running these events as well. With the directions, they're not included as your patron count. So Leanne, did you want to?
The other thing, I was having a chat this morning to Anna Smith from Alexandrina, and we were having a discussion about the activities, and that's the one thing I haven't put into that email, we're saying things like card games, board games where people have to share cards, and things like that won't be allowed either.
Yeah.
So it means the way we actually structure the programs will have to change too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, and that's something else in the direction that did come up even with food businesses and the bars, is that, you know, the pool tables and the darts were still a no. So I guess it would, yeah, lead into, that's a good point, structure. All right, excellent. Mike's just commented that their community centres have opened with the physical distancing in place. And Lorinda's commented that no community bus use at Light, only Barossa and Light community car service operating with one client per vehicle with the driver. Okay. Yep, and Merinda's just said if a question is asked, feel free to answer in the chat and we'll send you all a copy afterwards. Yeah, we can just do a copy.
Yeah. And Katharine's just joined us as well. I just given her the link to join us, so welcome.
Oh, hi, welcome, Katharine. Paquita, so her comment about the cleaning, how to clean and disinfect your workplace document on the 30th of April from Safe Work Australia covers the cleaning guidelines, re-frequency and method. It also covers general specialised electronic equipment, retail, building and construction, warehousing, logistics and transport. So there's some information there. The other thing, just talking of information, is that the local government association's webpage has also a link to a COVID, you know, members area for COVID information. So I encourage you all to have a look there. That should be being updated, and it's our new webpage format for those that haven't seen it or haven't logged in for a while. Please log in and have a look. Any feedback, welcome. So thanks, Katharine. Did you just want to just say where you're from, just for the sake of the group, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm City of West Torrens Community Development Officer.
Thank you, Katharine. So we've just been talking about what councils have been doing in their space around disability access and inclusion, or their programs that they're offering and what they've had to change in response to COVID. Is there anything that West Torrens you'd like to share?
So through our library services, we don't run any, like the caveat is we don't run any disability specific programs. So, but through our library service, we've continued to run click and collect. So people can reserve a book, and then just by virtue of the way our building is designed, drive through and pick up what they need. We've added extra clients to our home library service, so that's a drop and wave service. So they can either select online if they have that capacity, or a selector will select a range of books for them and drop them at their doorstep. For our older clients, some of whom have quite significant physical impairment as well, so we have a mix of Commonwealth Home Support funded clients and council funded clients. So we have been doing our CHISP meals. We've been doing what we call Monday Wheels. So we drop off a coffee and some kind of cake or fruit salad every Monday in lieu of the meal. And we've dropped off a lot of activity packs to people. So we have another group that runs on Tuesdays that's purely council funded for people who are vulnerable. Most of them are over 65, some are not. And so we've been dropping off activity packs like cross stitch and crosswords and quizzes and stuff. We also run regular Tai Chi, so we put Tai Chi online as a video, and we also put together a package of, we have a regular exercise physiologist who comes in and does group stuff, so we videoed her and made that available to people who have access to the internet so that they can do their exercises at home. We did a whole lot of craft packs for kids, which they could collect, parents could collect through Click and Collect, and then we liaised with the Department of Education Cowandula Children's Centre to send 25 out of those out to really vulnerable families, along with a food bank package. We've sent out about 200 food bank packages to vulnerable people, including international students. And all of our Commonwealth Home Support customers got a food bank. We've worked with Foodland locally to do a food package thing, and then we've got a vulnerable residents list, and they get weekly calls, and we've got quite a number of people under 65 with disability on that list, and we're trying to liaise with some people who have sort of fallen through the gaps where the NDIS is concerned. We have done our community centres coordinator, Ryan, already does a rough sleepers outreach program. So we're trying to work with ongoing getting the rough sleepers. They don't want to go into the city, so we're trying to work with them to, to help them determine whether they might be eligible for NDIS because of psychosocial disability. I did liaise with Back to Care, the local area coordinator. Between all of us, they were pretty useless. They didn't really, they weren't good at all. Maybe it was the person I got, but they didn't. The email I got back kind of said they didn't even see themselves as a service provider. So it was kind of frustrating. But we had a fairly triangulated conversation between Aaron Byrne, the LAC, and myself about exactly what it was Back to Care was doing in that region, and I got a list of things that they said that they were doing. So but we haven't really had a lot of back and forth with them, unfortunately. We have been in touch with Arana. Arana is a huge service provider in our area. So Arana has their ADE, their business service, just around the corner from us virtually, as well as quite a bit of supported accommodation, individual units and group homes. So we've been working with them just to let them know what's continuing and what's not, for people who are library customers. Our library staff have tried to identify younger people with disability who use the library regularly, particularly with psychosocial disability, because some of them are in there like 5 days a week using the computers and stuff. So we've tried to connect with them and tell them about the changes individually. Some people were still coming to the library just so that they could look at the library. Even though it was closed, they just wanted to, it was part of their routine, so they just wanted to walk by the library and sort of do that. And from next week I will be going, this is my 8th week working from home, but from next week I will be going to visit disability services in the council region. So I'll be going, we've only got one SRF, so I'll be calling into the SRF.
Oh, fantastic.
And then I'll be calling into Autism SA and Arana and just touching base on, how they think things are going. I know we have 2 SCOSA hubs as well, which I'm trying to get in touch with in terms of what's been going on for them. Their sort of hub model is interesting, and there's a lot going on for SCOSA and Novita as well at the moment. So Novita is closing down, so like they're not a viable service anymore. So
aren't they building a brand new facility on Port Road? I drive past it all the time.
yeah, well, they amalgamated with SCOSA.
Oh, okay.
But they're basically they're gone.
Oh, right.
As far from what I've just heard through,
Okay.
because I've been doing some work outside of this on other disability matters. I've been working with politicians for the last week.
Oh,
but
right.
that Novita is actually not a viable business anymore.
I might just, I've just got a comment from Mike. Wow, good work, West Torrens Council. And he's asked, wouldn't BATCare local area coordination inform NDIS participants and other people with disability about the services that you provide? So it looks like, yeah, there's a bit
well,
of
I did. Yeah, look, I sent an email to BATCare with everything that we were doing. Same email I sent to Autism SA and Cara and Arana. So it all really varies based on who you get to contact with. Like I have a very good relationship with Amy Sherpa at Arana. And we, you know, through that we've been able to fix some individual issues as well for clients who, you know, needed some stuff corrected with their services that are local residents. So it's just, yeah, a bit hit and miss. I mean, obviously, yeah, they can tell people what's available. I'm not really sure. I think they...
Well, Katharine, I think what Merindah mentioned at the beginning prior to logging in, just about the fact that like obviously she's in contact with the NDIS and looking at gaps and ways that, you know, they're interested in issues or gaps that councils are finding. So, you know, there's definitely a few there that perhaps can be taken back. Merindah, did you want to make any comment on any of that at all? Or, oh, she's just written happy to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I've spoken to Aaron Byrne and to Alan Ball because I wasn't happy with the level of communication I was getting from BATCare. So I ended up CCing Alan and Aaron in an email to BATCare, and we had quite a long conversation. And I think they're aware of the issues. But yeah, I think I'm not sure that they understand their role. But other people may have had different experiences with them, but I'm not sure that they fully understand their role as a partner of the NDIS. And I mean, you know, I am just, you know, aside from this, all the other stuff that's going on through the media and stuff, and the fact that, you know, Stuart Robert has said, oh, well, the NDIS would have checked on Anne-Marie Smith, that would have been up to one of their contracted partners, like an LAC, to do, or the state government, depending on whether she was getting in-kind supports or not. But if it came down to the LAC, look, I'm an NDIS participant. And I was gobsmacked that somebody actually called me the other day, because it's the first time I've heard from someone since my plan was enacted months and months ago. And then they said, oh, we'll send you an email. And that arrived today, about 3 weeks after I got the telephone call. So, you know, I'm a fairly, you know, cognitively able person who could ring up. But if I was somebody that was extremely vulnerable sitting there, nobody would ever call me. Like, because I'm not calling them, they wouldn't be calling me. They're only calling people now because they're shitting themselves. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on that really is massive systemic stuff that needs to be fixed. I think from a local government level. We just need to be really aware that there are so many gaps that people can fall through. Like the notion of in-kind support is the one that we've had a lot of. I just use a collective we as me as an advocate and me with knowledge of clients of the NDIS, is that when people transitioned from state government services to NDIS, their support coordination was marked in kind, which meant that the state government would continue to provide it for 12 months. To get out of that, you actually needed to take action. You actually needed to call someone up and say, I don't want Disability SA as my support coordinator, I want to choose someone else. So if you didn't have the capacity to do that, you would have been assigned in-kind support, which means a big fat zero. Right. Everyone that I dealt with that had in-kind support and perhaps lower support needs, like they didn't have a mega $1 million package, would have not been contacted. Like support in kind, I dealt with one person who had waited 9 months to get a phone call, and we called them up, and they hadn't been assigned anyone anyway in Disability SA. So I'm guessing, that there are a whole lot of those people who have not had that transitional service from Disability SA. So that's a huge gap to be aware of. But also, there's people floating around out there that we will come across who may have packages, but again are being, I guess, managed by places like Integrity Care or whomever, who just have no knowledge of what it is that's happening for them. Like their supports may have continued, but in the background, they don't even know that they've transitioned to the NDIS or that people have signed paperwork on their behalf or...
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike's just made a comment that there's a potential area of LGA advocacy, of which Merinda's agreed. And, I guess I'm just conscious of the time that we had allocated. Is there anything anyone else would like to comment on? Merindah, did you want to?
I just want to take this offline with Katharine and have a conversation around LACs, because that's my background, that's where I've come from. So I agree, and let's talk.
Yep, okay, yeah. I mean, from a local government perspective, I think COVID has made us aware of a lot of the gaps and the vulnerabilities in our community. Some of them are related to NDIS and people with disability. Others are just related to people with disability in general who are not in touch with formal supports or services. So and how reliant some people are on things like our library service for their computer access. And to undertake their daily routine and all of that sort of thing. Like coming to the library, using the coffee machine, using the computer for their allocated time, having their, because they don't have computers or smartphones, they come in and they use the computer for whatever, to stay in touch with people, for entertainment purposes, to talk to people, really, have long chats with people. And they're really important, pivotal relationships that form part of that level of developmental safeguarding that we need to start
I think touched on a really
yeah.
good point, Katharine. I think, it's those social services that councils provide which often get lost, I think, to the economic agenda. And I guess it's something that perhaps we need to be really have a think about how we can promote or recognise, I guess, that work of what councils, you know, things like the rough sleepers and things like that. You know, I wasn't aware that your council did that, and that might be an interesting offline conversation as well. So yeah, I think that's really important. Leanne's just popped her hand up and has made a comment about that they've had almost no interaction with BAP care, and that one of their team has had awful interaction. So did you want to talk to that?
I don't actually. I think that's a separate, but what I'm actually wanted to say was I'm actually in the middle of writing a council report at the moment on the impacts of NDIS. This is a follow-up. We've been writing these reports for the last 2 years to keep council updated. And in this report, I've actually put some information about the Royal Commission, and that at a grassroots level, council has a responsibility to assist our community with disability to make sure they are protected and to be a voice for them. So that, and to be able to empower them to actually be able to know. I was listening to Dax the other day talk about what they're doing, and there's a different level of abuse with older people and people with disability, and council have a role to help protect our community.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, would you be interested in sharing any of that kind of work that other councils that may not? I'm thinking, Lorinda, you know, this is an area where it's not you know, she's does many roles, you know, she comes across to many Zoom meetings with many different hats that perhaps could support councils with that agenda. Is that something that perhaps some of the regional or smaller councils, we don't have too many represented, I don't know, is that an area that we could perhaps assist with sharing some of that information? Sorry, Paquita's, I'm just looking at the chats here, sorry. Paquita's just said that, hang on, I'll go back a bit. Mike said that many of us have found when they'll be freezing the council rates. Paquita says she totally understands and comprehends what Katharine is saying. Same experience witnessed at Onca. Merinda's asked who LAC is, which is Mission Australia. And Mike's just commented that DAXA is the Disability Advocacy and Complaint Service of SA, for those that aren't aware. Anne, did you just pop your hand up then?
It was only for that report that you mentioned about to Leanne that we might be interested in reading that.
Oh, excellent. Yep. Yeah. So thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Anne. And I guess, you know, that's one of the purposes of these information sharing sessions as well, is to really support councils all over the state, because, you know, we are aware that obviously some councils have very different levels of resources, particularly when it comes to some of these social issues. You know, if they're not front of mind of councillors, they don't get the same resourcing, you know, with some of the other councils. So I am really keen, and I think Merindah would be in agreement that, you know, these are opportunities where, you know, where the LGA can assist, and through some of those networks. And I guess thanks to COVID, you know, a lot of things are Zoomed now, and a positive of that is that people in the regionals areas can be part of these conversations moving forward, where otherwise it may be difficult to attend, you know, meetings in person. So, you know, I think it's really important, and particularly looking at with Liz and Natasha online around some of the accessibility issues, and looking at ways that we can make them more accessible for people as well to be able to get onto. Merinda's just commented that the LGA can offer fortnightly sessions like this for disability inclusion generally, and this could be a forum for sharing these types of issues and being able to advocate. Just Lorinda's commented that LGAIN has been a great resource too. And Mike's just commented that one concern is that local government hasn't been reflecting on the Royal Commission on Disability at a sector level. So that's something that we can perhaps look at. Merindah, yep.
Just wanted to comment on how some councils do collaboration and partnership extremely well, and it does depend on the quality of your partners, obviously, like with an LAC, but other councils haven't quite gotten to that point yet. So this is what I see an opportunity is, you know, it's something that, you know, Katharine, Mike and Leanne and Lorinda particularly all do. I've seen them all do really well, or heard that they're out there talking to people in the community, service providers, building relationships. And I think I've just seen it to be so powerful because it creates that synergy where like exponential rather than just one-on-one. So you get that, you cover more ground. Yeah.
Katharine, did you want
I think, yeah, look, what we could also do as part of the process, Merindah, especially for regional councils, is develop a policy and service analysis tool. So it's like with a disability lens. So you've got like gender analysis tools that look for whether it's positive or negative for women. We can do that for disability as well. So is this policy disability sensitive, disability neutral, or disability negative? Is our service disability positive, disability neutral, or disability negative? So we'll be able to like lay a lens over some of the services, because nobody, if you look at a library service, how do you analyze that for whether it's inclusive of people with disability without thinking it from a disability lens? Yeah.
Is that somewhere where I guess your access and inclusion plans could identify some of those internal processes, I guess, that that could be done? And Mike's just said great idea, and part of it is for the access and inclusion plan as well. So
it is, but I guess I've with Flinders developed some other tools that might be able to be moved across to local government. It's just policy analysis.
Merindah?
Yeah, I agree with Katharine. I think there's some possibilities and good ideas in that. And, the LGA does this in other areas. And one of the suggestions, which I don't think we're ready for yet, but with the big funding amount that came through for roads and projects, I talked to the LGA about putting a disability lens across those applications to support councils. But the LGA also needs to be doing it ourselves. So, again, happy to investigate that as an opportunity.
Okay. Excellent. Thanks for that. And I'll just make a note. Natasha from our LGA training has said that if anyone has identified a gap in knowledge they'd like their council to have filled, LGA training are creating a podcast series to address some of these and welcome your suggestion. So, Natasha, did you just want to write in there what email? Is it just LGA training at LGA? Is that the email? If you want to just perhaps either yourself or Liz just type that in for people to send those suggestions. Oh, there is training@lga.sa.gov.au. So that's great. All right, guys, look, I'm conscious of the time. I think we could keep talking, but it is after 12. If you're happy, Merindah and I can organise another one in a couple of weeks' time, and pass on the information to your networks within councils. Anyone's welcome to attend these sessions. They are run through the functional support group lens of the council and of the local government. So they are for all council staff to be involved. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. If anyone's got any questions, just to email me, which I will type in at the moment, if I can, to everyone. So it's publichealth@fsg.lga.sa.gov.au, but I will type that in, and I'll, probably next week, I'll put together the notes and find out where I can send the link for the recording if anyone does want to view that again. I know Monica has emailed through because she wasn't able to hear. So, but you can share that with anyone else that perhaps wasn't able to log on. So I'll just type this in, sg.lga.sa.gov.au.
Just ask the question.
Sorry. Yes, Anne. Yep.
Yeah, she's just got a phone call, looks like, though. She talked about a Facebook page for us to log into on Saturday for the vigil for Anne-Marie, but I can't remember what the Facebook page was called.
Oh, okay.
It was a minute for?
Yes, a minute for annemarie.com. So, and Anne-Marie only doesn't have an E, so yeah.
That's
No, that is the website.
Yeah.
But if you go to Women with Disabilities South Australia on Facebook,
That's the one. Thank you.
Excellent. Miranda's
you'll
just
see the vigil. You'll see the event, which is called A Vigil for Anne Marie, and it'll be live streamed on Facebook and Zoom at 2 o'clock our time.
Thank you.
And we will also have a cane chair on Parliament House for a week. Parliament House steps for a week, just as a reminder to people of what's happening. So that will have a picture of Anne Marie, an electric candle, and just to sit there for the entire week from tomorrow, so that everybody's cognizant of what's going on, all the inquiries and things like that. So that'll go up tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, so make everyone sad and leave, but yeah, we will.
No, well, thank you everyone for participating again. I think it's been really valuable, and I appreciate the time. So, and I'm sure Merindah, any comments as well? Most of you will have Merindah's contact details, I presume too. So, tears. And yeah, so thank you everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Bye bye. Yep. See ya.
See ya. You all right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to work out how to do this chat before I log off.
How about you, Merindah? Turn your mic on, honey.
It's just us. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been struggling with that situation for the last 2 weeks. I was disgusted.
Yeah. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. And what can we do?
LGA in detail about it, and it's lit up this fire in me. And I said, look, we can't do anything about it. And like Katharine's the advocate, so they're doing all the advocacy. It's not my role, but what we can do is focus on groups like this, sharing that information, making sure no one falls through the gaps again. So that's what we're here for. Yeah.
In that case, though, I mean, how would local government, like, would, you know, they would sort of know. It's not no, I'm saying, but, you know, is there a way that local government could be like an oversight to their local community for people who are, and I'm not saying that we've got the resources for this, this is just a thought bubble, but, you know, is there some way that local government could be a leader in assisting people who live in their communities to be that check as well?
Yeah, and some are.
And I'm not saying this as a cost shift, you know, cost shift to local government, because that's what it will be seen as. But the reality is that they're our community.
Yeah.
So how could that, you know?
So I'll give you an example, because this is one that wasn't.
Hang on, I might just stop you there for a sec, because I'm just going to
stop the recording.